What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Gridiron Views. Definitely enjoyed the first episode. You guys want to check that out, but we have episode 2 today. Red, white, and blue, the Bills are due. Man, especially after what happened yesterday with the US just getting trounced in the World Cup. Yeah, the Bills are going to be due. You got to pay bills after you take a butt whooping like that. But before we start collecting money and grievances for that butt whooping, let's go ahead and welcome the fellas to the table. We got Andre in the building and we got Tyree in the building. What's going on, fellas?
Everything's good, man. You just gotta press forward, man. Hey, you gotta dust yourself off after a beat down like that, man. As I say, more life, more blessings. It's more life ahead of us. So, what about you, Andre?
Well, the waffles is waffling extra hard this morning. Shout out Waffle House. I heard a lot of Balder gone home, and now Balder gone really is home. Well, I mean, maybe he'll go on vacation first. We got to see. We got to wait and see. But everybody was on me when Germany we lost to Paraguay. It is what it is. But you know, uh, German is one of the three official languages of Belgium. So who's
Mm,
laughing loud?
mm, mm, mm. See, this is what happens when you let folks just come over here and start talking all this trash, man. You get them in the studio and you know what, man? I'm just gonna be honest with you. You, you just killing the mood today.
You can't be ignorant your whole life.
You just can't. You just can't. But it's okay though. We gonna charge that to the game. But man, speaking about charging to the game, man, it seems as if time goes on and people grow apart. Y'all ever notice that?
Yes, it happens from high school to college to your adult life. You just gotta keep on growing with the times, man. The only thing that's guaranteed in life is change.
Man, all I can say at this point, when you look at what's going on right now, you're seeing two former college teammates that were really good together. Now they're starting to separate. We're talking about Brandon Aiyuk and JD5 down in Washington. Jayden Daniels, for those who don't know who his name is. But when you saw what happened with Jayden Daniels coming out on social media speaking about JD5's mom and how he needs to get from behind her if he wants to lead him, how do y'all feel about that? Honestly.
Brandon Ayuk, honestly, he needs to get off social media and take a look at the man in the mirror. JD5 is not your quarterback. You signed the contract, you chose your path, acting bad on social media, telling people, leave me alone after running off with the 49ers money like a smooth criminal does not change that. This is your Billie Jean moment.
Mm,
JD5 is not your quarterback. You are not the one. You went from we are the world energy to throwing off the wall insults, but you cannot moonwalk your way out of accountability. You are not the main event. You are not Mike Jack. You are not Thriller. At some point, either get your act together or beat it. That's how I feel about Brandon Ayuk.
mm.
You hop on social media to handle something you could have handled by a phone call. My whole thing is with Brandon is you acting like you balled out last year and you disappeared with these people's money. It'd been one thing if you balled out 100 catches, 1,500 yards, something like that, but you totally went ghost. Like Andre said, you can't moonwalk out of accountability. What about yourself, right? How you feel about this situation?
Man, look, at this point, sometimes your mouth writes checks your butt can't cash, as my grandfather would say. And at this point, you're a good receiver, but you getting hurt pretty much puts you on borrowed time with the money that the 49ers were going to pay you. And now it's just a mess of a situation. And right now, you're hanging yourself. Shut your mouth, find a home to go somewhere where you can still get paid and continue to set yourself up with financial freedom. But at the same time, we also don't know the other side of the story either and how things are working in the front office because sadly, there are a lot of issues where you see things that happen through the media where they paint the athletes as horrible people, but no one ever talks about what goes on in that front office. And if you're in that game and you understand a few things, that front office always becomes it becomes real sticky, and they're like the Teflon Dons, unless you're James Dolan from the Knicks. Even though he won a championship, he was
Whoa,
one of
whoa,
those
whoa,
guys
whoa.
that was untouchable.
Oh, okay. I just,
No, I'm just
yeah.
saying, I gave you your credit for your
Mm.
championship, but look at how the media talks about him, though. He's out of all the owners, let's just be honest, he's one of the most hated. So we
Well, it's
don't
because
know
he's a
what's going
terrible
on in
owner.
huh?
He's a terrible owner. There's reason to hate him, but I disagree with what you're saying about the Ayuk thing. I want you to finish though, and then I want to
Okay.
respond to what you're saying.
No, I give you this. So for me, I look at it from all the way around because again, on other shows, platforms, Birdcage LLC, by the way, Thursdays at 8, we've had former athletes come on and they've talked about how management was, and management covers up so much, and they leave these guys out to dry and they let the media just run with a story. So that's the reason why I speak on that side of it. But go ahead, Dre.
I understand everything you're saying, and I'm not disputing any of it, honestly. But I don't think it applies to Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk, the injury was not the reason for all of this. His actions were the reason for all of this. First of all, if you were so unhappy to where you now can't be there, don't want to be there at all, you shouldn't have signed a contract in the first place because there's reports going back all the way to 2022 tied to him making complaints about the organization. So you had a choice. That's why I said earlier, you made your choice. You signed the contract. Show up, do your job. There is not another job in the world, Ra, where you could just stop showing up and people say
Mhm.
that you're in the right. It doesn't matter if you have a bad boss. None of that matters, right? Like I'm pretty sure you haven't liked everybody you've worked with in your life, but you figured out a way to get through it, right?
Oh
Because it
yeah.
was your job and it was what you had to do. Brandon Ayuk has the privilege to play a game for a living. I want to put that into perspective because nobody is owed the opportunity to play professional football and to make millions of dollars. It is a privilege to be able to make a living playing a sport.
Mhm.
So I'm not looking at this guy as a victim. You already got paid millions of dollars. If you never touch the football field ever again, you should have enough money to where you don't have to work again, right? We heard Channing Crowder, it was a few years back, but he was talking to Brandon Marshall about $6 million, how he put it in escrow and he lives off to 300,000 a year. If Brandon Ayuk didn't blow through all of that
Mhm.
money, which it doesn't look like he did on social media, there's no reason for him to need to play football ever again. And I've heard a lot of people say that there could be some mental health things going on here. And if that's the case, then that's what should be the focus. It shouldn't be playing football. Whatever his issue is, he needs to go get it worked out because his actions are not normal. I'm not diagnosing him with anything, but he definitely needs to go talk to somebody. 'Cause something's wrong there.
I don't see it as diagnosing him with anything, but what I see it as is, okay, you as you said, you might need to get a little bit of assistance. Not saying we're diagnosing him with anything, but you've gotta put yourself in a position to where if you have kids, if you have you're pretty when your playing days are over with, what's gonna have to happen is this: you're gonna need medical care, period. Because if you played this game, you're gonna leave something on that field. So the money that you are supposedly making or you've made, you need to have that away, as you were saying, escrow, funds. But this is the thing that athletes need to start doing. Just a suggestion, because health insurance is not going to take you. A lot once you're done playing. A lot of health insurances are very skeptical with taking former athletes at that point. My thing is you need to put a percentage of your money away for a medical fund. I know that might sound a little funny, but for medications, surgeries, things, you need to have that money already stashed away so you can help yourself in the future. Because it's a lot of insurance companies, again, that will not take you. And we've got cases of that. I'll give you one example. Mike Harden. former Denver Bronco and Los Angeles Raiders safety. Mike Harden was one of the hardest hitting players, came out of Michigan, played for the Broncos in the 80s on their Super Bowl teams. Now, Mike Harden can hardly walk. He has to have canes, he has to have medication to do that. Majority of his money has been burned up in medical funds and treatments. So if Brandon Ayuk has something wrong with him, I think you need to start putting your money towards your health at this point, buddy, because right now you might not be in a situation where you're gonna play football again. But
You know what this all goes back to, Ra?
what?
One of my favorite sayings: acting your wage. So I think we can kind of flip over to another athlete because there is a life after football. And you know, when those paychecks stop, the bills are still due.
Speaking of Bills due, why did the Buffalo Bills ban OJ Simpson from the new stadium? My quick take on it is he's a Hall of Famer in the College Football Hall of Fame. He's a Hall of Famer in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. OJ ran the ball, so put him on the wall.
The glove ain't fit, you had to quit.
Well, first off, the Buffalo Bills need to just
Be easy. Drama ain't nothing. Hey,
be easy. That's what you need to do. Be easy. Because without Orenthal James Simpson, that franchise was fledgling through the 60s, the 70s without that man. He brought relevancy to Buffalo. No, they didn't win any playoff games while he was there, but he got them there. You know, and the crazy part about it is when you look at the disrespect that they have shown the first 2,000-yard rusher in NFL history within 14 games, and he did it with their organization and set a single game record with 272 yards at that time. You literally have slapped somebody in the face who helped put your organization on. Let's be honest. Yeah, Cookie Gilchrist was a hell of a running back that you had, but you ended up trading him away for William Joe, better known as Billy Joe, FAMU coach. I interviewed him on my other podcast, and he talked a little bit about it because he ended up leaving Buffalo and going to the New York Jets because they drafted OJ Simpson. So again, and that man that I just spoke on was the AFL Rookie of the Year in 1963 as a running back. So when you look at the fact that they got rid of a guy who already had accolades from his Denver Bronco days, and you trade Cookie Gilchrist for this guy, and then you trade him off for OJ, and OJ brings the type of prominence to your organization that you lacked after the 1963 AFL championship. I don't know. I don't know how you can forgive this. Like, I get his off the field situation was not conducive to a lot of people, but like Dre said, how you say it, Dre? If it doesn't fit, you must what?
What's the quit, man? And
Like,
look,
how?
well, the Bills without OJ is like the cornflakes without the milk, right? Like, why did nobody tell the Bills that tricks are for kids? Like, what we got going on here? When the guy's still alive, you show no effort to remove anything he did for the franchise, but as soon as he's gone, you want to remove him from history when you build a new stadium? No, that's not how it works. Like, you can't remove that guy and that history from the franchise or the NFL. What he did after his playing career and the things he allegedly did and or the things he was convicted of have no bearing on his playing career and the things he did on the field. You guys highlighted some of them already. He's a college Hall of Famer, NFL Hall of Famer, first 2,000-yard rusher. Like, that guy is a huge part of the Buffalo Bills history. And honestly, I don't see what the reason for excluding him from the history of the new stadium brings. And the NFL is not, at least they shouldn't be in the business of playing the moral police.
What if I
Because if they are, well, if they are in the business of playing the moral police, I need them to keep that same energy across the league.
what if I
Don't
told
just
you it's no morals in this, and you can finish this statement, but this is gonna make y'all blood boil even more. So y'all do realize that they gave OJ Simpson's number, which was retired 42 years after he pretty much was done with the Buffalo Bills. They gave it to Sonoris Perry, a practice squad player. They gave his number. Think about that, fellas.
Not it's despicable, and it should have never happened. Any other player, they asked the family, "Oh, can we unretire the number?" And maybe they did, and I need to do some more research into that because I don't honestly don't have all of the details on that one. But if the NFL truly is going to take this stance of being the moral high ground, then, like I said, I need them to do that across the league, not just the players, everybody. That means Steve Tisch. That means Josh Harris. That means Robert Kraft, Stephen Ross, David Tepper, Ziggy Wilf, and Arthur Blank. And I'm not saying all those names did anything wrong, but in the public opinion, your name is attached to a list and it shows up as many times as theirs did. There should probably be some kind of repercussions, no?
Oh, most
Keep that
definitely.
same energy.
Agreed.
Speaking of keeping that same energy, can the Chris Johnson situation spark new ALS awareness?
It can, but it needs to be an established thing. It doesn't need to be a fad. All of these celebrities and all these influencers want to tie themselves to these causes when it benefits them, but they're not really doing it to bring awareness to these subjects that are important and that do need to be more in the spotlight because it shouldn't take a famous athlete that we love for people to care about all of these other people that are dealing with these diseases. Not just ALS, but there's a lot of different diseases. Like this month is July. It's Sacrome Awareness Month. Now, to me, a few years ago, that wouldn't have meant anything either. But for those that don't know, my son was diagnosed with bone cancer, a rare type of bone cancer in his spine 2 years ago. And I didn't know anything about it. I didn't really know where I could go and get any kind of help or support. And there wasn't any real awareness being put out there, at least that I could find. And I sympathize with anybody going through any kind of disease, but I implore people don't wait until it has hit the mainstream media or something like that for you to actually bring awareness to causes near and dear to your heart. Um, because it could help save somebody else's life, honestly.
I gotta agree with Andre on this. Everybody is turning ALS into a fad. A lot of people really didn't care about it a long time ago. And, when you look back at it, it's Lou Gehrig's disease. It's an awful disease that many they just prepare for the worst because at that point you know that you're dying. And I want Chris to fight this all the way through. But they still don't have a cure for it that we know of yet. The only thing they can do is just help people to live with it at peace. They tell you from the jump, have your affairs in order. And when you look at it, a lot of people talk about um, Steve Gleason from New Orleans Saints. That was a guy that was a very good special teams football player, but he was the one who really championed for it, and it just really took off once he was done after the New Orleans Saints won their Super Bowl and he started having those issues. And then you started seeing more people take on the challenge of that, but most people don't really know how destructive that disease is. And as you can see now that Chris Johnson really has lost the ability to use his vocal cords at this point to talk, and he's just using his eyes to speak through a machine that has his voice recorded. That that is a hard thing to start to become a prisoner in your own body. And the closest that I can say that I got to experience it was watching my grandmother have dementia. that is one of the hardest things to watch. So I can't even imagine what his kids and his wife are going through. So prayers out to Chris Johnson and his family.
Yes, definitely prayers out. My thoughts on this topic is when we talk about awareness, awareness should be every day, not a fad, not a trend. As you see the past couple weeks, as he appeared on ABC News, the Ice Bucket Challenge made a comeback. In my opinion, we should bring awareness to every day, not a trend to, not a trend like, oh, I'm gonna do this because it's being talked about in the news every day. Like Andre said, his child went through something he was not aware of. Let's make awareness every day within our mind, our spirit, and our soul. And you know, that's why I say I thank God for, this conversation that's being had between Rye, myself, Andre. Awareness needs to be an everyday thing, not a trend, not where we can pop up on social media. Oh, this is the best thing. Hey, let me do a video. No, no, everyday awareness is the best awareness.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. And I mean, like y'all said, I also will be praying for CJ2K, and I implore everybody again, bring
Yes.
awareness to a cause that's near and dear to them. Like support systems are big, but what you build your foundation on is even bigger too, man. It's like me, I built my house on a rock, right? Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. That's not for everybody. I respect everybody and what they are, but I'm just talking about me. I built my house on a rock, right? There's easy seasons, there's tough seasons, and it's no different than like possessions of a game. Sometimes life comes at you hard, sometimes it's a little bit easier, right? Sometimes, I don't know, you're beating a team by 35 in a championship game, and I mean, there's other times when everything looks impossible, like fourth and 31, second and 26, a 25-point deficit in the Super Bowl, or a helmet catch, right? Sometimes the most unlikely scenarios have a way of becoming blessings if we keep pushing through. And like I
Amen.
said, this month is a Sacroma Awareness Month. And I want to shout out my wife during this month because she did start a brand. It's called Stock, which translates to Ant Strong. And it's just to bring awareness to cancer and different ways you can maybe not even beat it, but just deal with it in your everyday life. So people maybe have that person they can talk to that me and her didn't have when we were going through it. Because by the grace of God, our son is in remission and God is good all the time.
Amen.
Amen. And it's always a beautiful thing when you can have a strong support system and not just having a strong support system, when when you have to have that mindset to get through things, you have to have that iron will like an 85 Bears defense or that 2000 Ravens defense that shut down those Giants in that Super
I knew
Bowl.
that was coming.
You gotta have that type of you gotta have that type of strength and that type of tenacity to fight through ALS because if you're weak minded, it's not gonna go. So Chris already understands how to fight. Unfortunately, at this point, his body that he took care of, he invested in, he spent time, taking care of it. It's not taking care of him right now. So the way that he can fight this fight is by continuing to keep his mind strong, just like those defenses we named.
Yes, indeed. Any closing thoughts, guys?
Last thing I'll say on this topic is go get checked. Stop dismissing your pain as harmless. I know I'm speaking mostly to the men here, so I apologize if we got any women listening, but I know as men, we don't necessarily always like to go to the doctor and go get checked up until it's absolutely necessary. But especially as we age, man, it's important that you go get checked up and that you take care of your health. Your body's not getting any younger. You're not going to get in any better shape the older you get. So you got to start taking care of yourself.
Agreed.
All right.
Yeah, I agree. You got to start taking care of yourself because again, you know, you could be up just like the Falcons were in the Super Bowl, and the next moment you see it, you just end up losing the lead in life. Just like my boys did in that Super Bowl. That's just how it goes. And the only way that you can protect that lead is by being proactive and understanding that you've got to take care of yourself, whether it's mentally, it's physically, whether it's with your diet, and also finding that moment of peace. Because if you can't find moments of peace in ways that you can do this, you're going to have a long second half of life. Trust me, I know about bad second halves.
Or you could just run the football. Sometimes it's not even diet or none of that. Sometimes it's just as simple as running the football. I'm just saying. It don't always got to be difficult, man. Drink a
It could be
little
right in
more
front of
water,
you.
a little less sugar. You'll be fine.
Oh,
It
man.
don't take the world. Just saying.
My closing thoughts. You a mess, Andre. My closing thoughts is, man, make sure you take care of yourself spiritually, mentally, and physically. And shout out to the support system, whether that's your family or brotherhood, like we got on this pod. God kissed it and the devil missed it. This has been episode 2 of Gridiron Views. Red, white, and blue. The bills are due. More life, more blessings.